Yo, what's up, everyone? So EA just sold for $55 billion to a Saudi Arabian investment group. This is one of the largest leveraged buyouts in the history, not just gaming, but just business as a whole. I mean, 55 billion. That is just such an astronomical number. And it's such a big sale, and it was sold at such a high markup that even people outside of gaming, this has their attention. This has a lot of people's attention right now because they bought this at a markup. They were overvalued with this sale, 100%. So let's go into what this means for EA as a company, for their games, and the gaming industry as a whole. So EA is going private as part of a leveraged buyout. For those of you who don't know what a leveraged buyout is, essentially, you're taking on debt with the sale. You have money to make up to make this even. EA, it's like they're taking out a loan, pretty much, is how this is gonna work. They get the money from the sale, but instead of having to owe the money to make up for that sale right now, they will be able to use money from their sales going forward to pay back this money. And this isn't just a petty loan. I mean, this is $20 billion in debt, the largest in any leveraged buyout in history. And going private, for those of you who don't know, is you are no longer publicly traded. You are privately owned by this company. We've seen this a bunch of times, actually. We saw this with Activision Blizzard selling to Microsoft. We saw Bungie get sold to Sony a few years ago. But this, 55 billion is 55 billion. It's more than those. This is a huge deal. And this isn't Sony buying them or Microsoft buying them. This is the Saudi Arabians. And that brings a lot of concerns to people. And the company who did purchase them, this isn't their first time trying to invest in gaming. They have stakes in Nintendo, Activision, and a bunch of other companies, but this is by far their biggest investment. So why are people concerned, and what does this mean for the games? Now let's talk about what this means for the EA games. EA makes a ton of money off their live service games. You got your FIFA, your Madden, your Apex. Those are their moneymakers, and they've been moneymakers for years. Madden and FIFA are top sellers for so long. Those games have been top selling games since I've been born. Those just print money for the company. They release annual titles with FIFA and Madden, and it's printing money for them. They have the rights to the sports clubs. I'm not sure how soccer works because I'm not that much into it, but for American football with Madden, EA owns their rights. Madden NFL is the only game that has NFL players in it. So no matter how bad their game is, people are going to continue to buy it every year and spend money on it every year because they have the rights and they want to play with their favorite NFL players. And we could kind of tell a sale was coming because when you see gaming companies prioritize short-term game consistently over long-term game, it usually means a sale is coming because they're trying to puff up. They're trying to make their company look like it's worth more than what it actually is. And they did that. They sold for a huge markup compared to what the actual value of the company was. Now, EA specifically, what did they do? In the past, we've seen Bethesda. They announced the Elder Scrolls 6, the next game after Skyrim. They announced that in 2019. It is 2025. We have gotten zero new information or trailer on it. They released a trailer for it at one of the game, I think it was E3, one of the game shows, 2019, I believe it was, but that was not their game. Obviously, it's been 6 years. We haven't heard or seen anything about it other than they're working on it, allegedly, which we know probably isn't, obviously probably working on now, if you don't know too much about Bethesda, but they've made other games and they've been working on other projects in between those periods. That was not their main focus when they put the trailer out. They put that trailer out because The Elder Scrolls is a gigantic series. Skyrim is one of the most successful games ever. It was a genre-defining game. So to announce the next continuation in that series of games, that made the company look like it was worth a lot more. So when Microsoft purchased them, they're doing that with the idea in mind that Elder Scrolls 6 is coming. And that will be their game once it drops. It's the same thing with Activision. Call of Duty, a game that sells every year, just like EA titles. Call of Duty and EA titles, there's always annual games. They come out every year, and they sell tremendously. They are huge for casual gamers. And Call of Duty sacrificed a lot of their future with their future multiplayer titles, the zombies, Warzone specifically. They did this because they kept taking short-term game over short-term gain. And they got their sale and they got their big chunk of gold from Microsoft, and now they're paying for that. So what did EA do to signal that a sale was coming? Well, we know they turned down a Dragon Age Inquisition. They turned out in Titanfall 3. And they heavily lean into their annual titles like FIFA and Madden and the live service transactions they get off those, and add Apex on top of that, which is a live service multiplayer game. Now, when you're owned privately, you don't have to report your quarterly earnings. You can actually do it, I believe it's like every half year, like you have to do it. So you get more freedom in that regard. However, EA is taking on a massive debt with this. So companies heavily prefer not doing the quarterly earnings reports because they get more freedom. They don't have to make choices knowing that they have the pressure of meeting those quarterly earning reports. They get a little more leeway with that. However, being $20 billion in debt is going to cause them to heavily lean into their live services even more. Their reliance on microtransactions, you will see even more. And similar to Bethesda when they announced the Elder Scrolls 6, we saw them just recently announce they are getting back into NCAA basketball, a game that they haven't made in years. And it was announced that they're getting back into it, but we were giving nothing, a nothing sandwich, just like we were with the Elder Scrolls 6. So the writing was on the wall that a sale was coming. Now, the Saudi Arabians buying EA has been a big talking point. A lot of people are afraid of censorship coming to EA. A lot of people are worried about propaganda. A lot of people are pointing to the Dragon Age Railguard. I'm not sure the specific title, but I remember that had a lot of worries about, the culture around that game. It was a huge problem. A lot of people were upset with the direction that title went, and that could have been made knowing that this company is going to sell to a Saudi Arabian group. Another thing you're probably going to see, that this isn't that big with the gaming, but this won't impact you directly, but the EA company, if you work for them, you can expect a lot of layoffs because the company was already leaning heavily into an AI pivot. So if you thought AI in gaming was already bad, expect it to get even worse. EA is expected to heavily lean into AI to replace their employees. And EA really needs this because when you're releasing a new title every year and you need to make quick changes to sell the title, like how is this game better than the next? AI is perfect for that because that will give you, because the short-term gains you can get off of AI right now, you're seeing all companies lean into this, and EA, I imagine, will be no different. And a lot of people, because of this AI and the Saudi Arabian investment group, are supposedly boycotting. But I'll be honest, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference unless the games really suffer. And even then, what are you going to do? If you're an NFL fan, you're going to keep buying Madden. If you're a soccer fan or European football, you're going to keep buying FIFA. Or football club, whatever it's called now. That's just the way this thing goes. And I am also part of this problem. I buy Madden every year because I love the NFL. And, I don't hate the games. I don't think they're atrocious, but they're not great overall. Some are a little better, some are a little worse. But obviously, if you're comparing a game that comes out annually to like other big AAA titles that take years and years to make, you're going to see that there's just not a lot to these sports games. They're pretty bland and they rely a lot on microtransactions. And the modes that don't, like franchise and other modes like that, they don't get the love and attention they need. So, and I would expect that that's going to get worse and worse in the future. You're going to see microtransactions and modes you would not expect to see them in. And we've seen in the past, Saudi Arabian companies, if the content does not align with their interests, you will see censorship. And with a sale this big, you can only imagine what's going to happen. Now, EA is a very successful company. They bring in about $2 billion a year. So you won't see, so as long as they're growing and continuing to print money, it really shouldn't be that big of a problem. The company would, for now, for the time being, the company's probably just buying them and it's like, you guys do your thing, keep making your money. However, if that ever falters even just a little, you're going to see them step in and you're going to see leadership change. Sony, the company that bought Bungie, originally Pete Parsons was in charge and he was the studio head, the CEO. He's been with the company since the Halo days, since the beginning. And we recently saw him step down. Why? Because Sony saw Bungie was struggling heavily. Instead of making a Destiny 3, they leaned into what Sony needed the most, which was a live service PvP game. They've been trying to get into this forever. We saw them fail with Concord. They really needed Marathon, which is Bungie's next title, to work. And we saw with betas and alphas that the game is not working. There's a lot wrong with the fundamentals of the game. The company was caught stealing art multiple times. And now we are seeing the head of Bungie step down and we're going to see a Sony takeover slowly take place. Luckily though, EA, I doubt we see something that extreme because again, they own the rights to these sports clubs. Now, if that changes, then you would see a lot of turnover. But for now, as long as they own the rights to soccer and football games, they're going to be good. So I don't expect to see a lot of change going forward. You will probably see a heavier lean in the mobile games, the Madden mobile, which used to be pretty damn fun. You're going to see a bigger lean into that. because those games are huge, especially outside of America, and those games also print money. But other than that, you won't see a lot of change. The biggest problems I think people have, and the ones who are potentially threatening to boycott, are because they're worried about foreign companies buying up American companies. And essentially, they're worried that there's going to be some propaganda of some sorts. So time will tell. I hope this informed you in some way. I am not the most knowledgeable with business, but I've played a lot of EA games. So I know a little bit, but I don't know anything about business. So hopefully this helped, and let me know down below what you think this means for EA as a company, and will you continue to keep playing their games if you already are? Thanks for watching. Peace.